Batman 112, James Tynion the fourth, and Jorge Jimenez on the art. The first proper issue of Fear State. Oh, the Alpha issue is kind of really the first one, but whatever. Yeah. So this has there's almost like a, I don't know, it's not exactly like RoboCop, but all the advertising and sort of public relations material that we see from Saint Industries throughout this issue was giving me that kind of satirical, like, you know, swallow the information we're selling you, take the cover story, we're here for your protection, you know, buy that for $1.
And it's counter, exactly. And it's counter to what's actually going on, where it's a complete mess and not at all what Saint envisioned, because he made a deal with a psychopath in Scarecrow. So I do love that, the counter narratives.
And his number one guy is also acting like a psycho because he's dosed up on fear toxins. So the whole thing's falling apart from Saint's perspective. Some gorgeous art here early on, though. The first, you know, panel of Batman, that full page of him after he's just broken out the chair that he was tied to from Scarecrow. Really good. Then even just the following page of him running in not a real field, but in his head he's running from a field of a giant Scarecrow. Very, very pretty stuff. So yeah, and all this is playing out as we're getting the news reports, and we're getting the not even the news reports, we're getting Simon Saint's speech that he has in this kind of PR video, talking about how he grew up in the city, how, you know, the wealthiest couple were gunned down, and then Batman came, and at first that seemed like a great idea, but then he brought all these crazy people out of the woodwork, and now they've just made the city this joke, and he introduces Peacekeeper 1, and it's all this happy stuff, right? This happy PR stuff. Batman's like crawling to the Batmobile, injects himself with some shit to try and counteract everything.
Yeah, because he realizes that Crane's gone beyond fear toxin. This is something else that he's weaponized, which we know is the Mad Hatter tech.
Yeah, he's working with Mad Hatter.
He'd asked for it in the Alpha issue for Saint. So, you know, Batman's putting it together, and that he even tells Barbara, "I can't even trust my own mind right now, because I don't even know if I'm talking to you."
Yeah, I love the panel, actually. When he gets in the car, there's a panel sort of POV shot looking out the windshield, and like Scarecrow's standing in the rain, and he may not actually be there. Like, this might just be in Batman's head, but it just looks gorgeous. And then he's like stands on top of the car and starts scratching at the car with these needles.
It's very Freddy Krueger.
Yeah,
right? And we know that it's in Bruce's head because the windshield's still intact.
Yeah.
You know, when you turn the page, but yeah, when it's there, you have no idea. And I know it's more visceral, but like needle fingers Scarecrow, terrifying. You know, guy in a bag head, a little bit scary, but not that scary. This one, terrifying. So good on Tynion for the wardrobe change.
Yeah, so Batman's on his way to see Oracle. Saint's doing like a, not in person, he's doing like a hologram interview with a chat show host. Yeah. Which he ends up vomiting at the end of it and like sort of coming out of it, and he's basically freaking out because everything's falling apart, and he's like having to pretend on camera that everything's hunky dory and all's going to plan, but in reality, like, everything's falling apart. And we cut to what's his face?
Peacekeeper 1.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. He's Mahoney. Yeah. I was trying to remember his actual name. Yeah, he's like stumbling around in his armor suit, being confused, and he sees people in the street who are hurt and in trouble, and he sees like almost like monstrous Joker people, like just like villains that he has to take care of. Well,
and they're like, you remember when he turns around and sees Bane with the broken jaw? They're very reminiscent of that too.
Yeah, the jaws are
like
all
Joker mixed.
Yeah, they're all hanging. Yeah, no, you're right.
But yeah.
But to show how much Batman's out of it is that he's on the rooftop near the clock tower, and Cass actually sneaks up behind him, thinking that he's an intruder, and the other girls come out and they're like, "Well, you look like shit." Pretty much.
This was probably my favorite moment from the issue, just to see them, all of the Batgirls, as one, kind of telling Bruce like, "Hey, man, you need to maybe sit this one out for right now." Like, it's a nice moment.
Yeah, no, because he points out, like, you know, under normal circumstances, no one should be able to sneak up on him like that. But Cass did. So he knows he's not 100%. And he gets filled in and everything else that there's a fake oracle broadcasting just to stir up trouble. And the fake oracle, you know, it is just about causing fear, because it's not just telling them about Scarecrow and Batman being dead, but it's also notably saying, oh, Peacekeeper 1's, you know, this is not a good thing. This is psychotic.
Which I'm trying to get a pin on who the anti-oracle is, though. Like, is it someone on the outside? Is it Scarecrow? You know,
it definitely sounds like it's at Scarecrow's behest, because everything seems to be pushing the narrative of like creating more fear. In fact, one of my favorite things that comes up here in a couple of pages, they get filled in where the Insanity Collective are hiding out. But as well, he's talking to Babs in the clock tower. There's a few panels of like just random civilians boarding up their windows, because it's there to show you that the city is in this fear state where they're all terrified and shit's going down. And they're all kind of like, you know, like actually, it's like Night of the Living Dead. They're preparing for possible invasions and stuff. And I love that after that page, there's a full page spread of Scarecrow and a gargoyle in the rain. And he's like, okay. Because it feels like his city now, right? This is how Batman usually stands in a Batman comic.
It is, and he's on a bat gargoyle, too. Let's not get lost on that.
Yeah, but he's taking over. He's taking Batman's spot. He's controlling fear. So good. So the end of the issue is actually that Simon is putting into, basically, he's creating his next Peacekeeper, but it's not Peacekeeper 2, which you might think it is. He's basically, despite all of his PR at the start of this issue, and he was doing the interview, he kept saying, oh no, my Peacekeepers are accountable, unlike these vigilantes. But the whole time, he had the idea that he needs one that's off the books, one that's not accountable. So we get the introduction at the end here of Peacekeeper X, who is
who's his assistant, who I don't know the name, Ricardo. It's him, man bun, in a full on his own black suit, which, you know, of course we should have seen. I mean, he's basically Ed 209, right? Like, if you're gonna bring up RoboCop, right? This is the new.
I appreciate that his man bun's still sticking out of his helmet.
Yes.
I enjoy that detail.
Peacekeeper X.
So he's sending out a second enhanced mech-suited super soldier into Gotham to take care of his first super soldier, who is freaking out on psychotic drugs.
Right.
So that's going to help. That's going to cure the problem immediately, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Also, you kind of skimmed over Ivy, who we only get her a little bit, but it wouldn't be me if I don't bring her up. They bring up that she's under the city and has basically the bedrock of Gotham wrapped up in plant material, and that if she wanted to, she could bring the whole city down on her whim. And I was just like, damn, Tynan, you really souped her up, because I've never heard anything like that. And also, do you think that that's kind of a reference to No Man's Land? Like, because she has all of that, she could cause something of that magnitude just on her own?
I don't know if it's a reference. I mean, if she did...
an illusion, I guess you could say.
If she went through with it, yeah, it would create a No Man's Land style scenario, but I don't know if that's...
Which I don't think that she's... I think this whole game with Catwoman and Harley, we're going to get the Ivies.
Well, yeah, I mean... I think I said this last time we talked about this, but it is kind of neat how each half of Ivy is with a different siren. And one half's with Harley, half's with Catwoman. And when they finally realise that and put two and two together, then we'll get Ivy back in her true form.
Yeah, so. And Harley saying that when she's done with it, she wants her own Robin costume. That got a giggle out of me.
Why not? Just slap Just swap the... I mean, red and black's already kind of a Robin colour scheme anyway. Just slap a green R on the chest and just call it a day.
Or green H, you know.
On H, sorry.
Yeah.
But, no, I enjoyed this issue quite a bit. I think it kept up that kind of vibe and the feeling that the entire city is in a dire space and everything's going down. It was still very much an issue one of an arc in that it wasn't... Like, I think... because it's been building this for so long, it didn't have to establish a lot of things. It just had to sell you that we're at a tipping point with them, and that everything is dire, and all of this stuff's kicking off. But in reality, like if I was going to recommend to someone read Fear State, I would say read from End the Joker War, read all the way from there to now, because that's the whole. That's really all of Fear State is the end until the end of this arc. But you know,
basically from A-Day onward, right? When they brought up A-Day, which I forget, is that in the DC comic special?
It was it not Infinite Frontier Zero, maybe. Something like that. It was in one of the one shots.
It was outside of the typical Gotham books, but you'd almost say start there because that's kind of where the Mahoney stuff starts, and then it goes. Yeah,
I feel like when you recommend this in the future, you're probably going to be like recommending like the oversized omnibus or hardcover that has the whole thing, rather than just this one trade. But
for sure.
But that's actually what makes it more satisfying, though, when all this is kicking off. But you wouldn't recommend just this arc on its own starting here. It wouldn't work, or even the Alpha issue wouldn't work as a starting point. I don't think. So, but that's okay. That's not a complaint. I'm actually glad that it's doing that, but it is worth mentioning. So, good stuff. Art's gorgeous throughout. I mentioned multiple pages and panels. Yeah. So.
Yep. Spoiled. Anytime I see Jimenez as Barbara, I feel spoiled. So.
What are you rating them, huh?
8.5.
Yeah, hard to argue with that. 8.5 for me as well.